Today we're going to look at an example where we multiply two decimals together. And we're going to first look at the correct method for doing this, and then we're going to look at a student's work that has a mistake in it. This is called an error analysis. Error meaning a mistake, and analysis meaning looking carefully at the student's work. We're going to find the mistake and give the student tips on how to fix their mistake. So let's begin by reading the problem and solving the problem correctly. A certain car can travel 26 and 35 miles with 1 gallon of gasoline. The gasoline tank can hold 21 and 2/10 gallons. How many miles can this car travel on a full tank of gas? So let's imagine that we're going to multiply 26 and 35 times 21 and 2/10. Does that look funny to you? It probably does, because you're probably used to the method of multiplying where you line, or the method of doing any kind of math where you line up the digits by place value. But when we're multiplying decimals, instead of lining them up by place value, we push all of the digits as far to the right as we can. So here, instead of stacking up our decimal points, we have everything pushed as far to the right as we can make it go. Then we multiply as if it was just a regular multiplication problem and ignore the decimal points for now. So I'm going to go ahead and do the multiplication. I want you to pause this video and multiply it on your own, and then compare your work with what I show you in the video. 2 times 5 is 10. Put down the 0, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Plus 1 more is 7. 2 times 6 is 12. Put down the 2, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Now we need to put a 0 as a placeholder. Cross out this digit because we're done with it. And cross this out as well because we're done carrying these digits. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 2 is 2. That was easy. Now we're done multiplying this digit, and so our next row of numbers, we need to put 2 zeros as a placeholder, because we've already dealt with our tenths place, we've already dealt with our ones place, and now we're moving on to our tens place. So that's why we need 2 zeros there as a placeholder. 2 times 5 is 10. Put down the 0, carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. 2 times 6 is 12, put down the 2, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Now we're going to add our partial products, and then we'll figure out where to put the decimal point. So we're going to add up these columns of numbers. Don't forget to carry. 5 plus 6 is 11, plus 7 more is 18, and 5. Now we have to figure out where to put the decimal point. You can start by making an estimate. If you know that the car is traveling about 26 miles on a full tank of gas, and that each gallon of gas can take them about 20 miles. So for our estimate, we could multiply 26 times 20. And so do you think that our product should be bigger than 100? Bigger than 200? Do you see what I'm saying? You want to kind of think about what the magnitude of your numbers should be. So let's see, 26 times 2, 20 times 2 is 40, and 6 times 2 is 12. So that means 26 times 2 is 52, and I have a 0 here, so I'm going to add a 0. So that tells me that my decimal point should go about right here. And I'm going to confirm that by counting the digits to the right of my decimal point in my original problem. So I have 1 digit here, 2 digits here. So there are 2 place value positions to the right of my decimal point in my first factor. Looking at my second factor, I see 1 digit to the right of my decimal point. So here I see listed 1 place value position to the right of my decimal point. That means that my product needs to have 1, 2, 3 digits to the right of the decimal point. And I can count 1, 2, 3, and now I know that I was correct in putting my decimal point after the 8. So my product is 558 and 62/100 miles. That's how far that car can go before the person will need to fill up and get more gas. Okay, now notice that I've kind of blocked out the student's work here. So in the next slide, we're going to look at the student's work and we're going to try to compare it to what I showed you and see if we can find the mistake. Okay, guys, so now watch me solve this problem and see if you can catch my mistake. Record my first factor. Record my second factor. Notice that my first factor has 2 decimal place positions and my second factor only has 1. So look at my work and decide if I'm correct or incorrect so far. Hint, I'm correct so far. Okay, now I'm going to start multiplying. Keep your eyes peeled and see if you can find my mistake. 5 times 2 is 10. Put down the 0 and carry the 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 more is 7. 2 times 6 is 12. Put down the 2, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 more is 5. Put down my 0 as a placeholder. I'm done with this, I'm done with that, I'm done with this. Am I right, or have I made a mistake yet? Hint, I've done everything correctly so far. All right, 1 times 5 is 5, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 6 is 6, and 1 times 2 is 2. That was easy. Okay, I'm done with this. Now I need to put a 0 as a placeholder. Now I'm ready to start multiplying, right? Or do you think I'm making a mistake? Notice that if I were a 5th grade student doing this work, I would be in the middle of making a mistake right now because I've forgotten to add 2 zeros instead of just 1. So that is the mistake that you're being told to look for. Let me go ahead and finish multiplying. 2 times 5 is 10, 7. Okay. All right. Now, the thing that I think is interesting about this example is that the person has done the multiplication, the digits are correct, but they're in the wrong place value position. So this person's going to get the wrong answer because of that error. So when this student goes to add up their partial products, 0, 12, now we're getting into the point where this is the mistake. 3, 6, let's see, 6 plus 7 is 13, 6, 12, 14, 3, 8. All right, so this is the error that has been made. When I got to my last row of multiplication, I didn't put the right number of zeros down. So when the person goes to add their decimal point, they know they need to have 3 digits to the right of their decimal point. 1, 2, 3. So the decimal point should go here. If the student had made an estimate like we did to say, well, the person's going to go about 26 miles on about 20 gallons of gas. So that means they're going to have, about 520 miles to go before they have to fill up their tank. They should look at this and realize, hey, this doesn't make sense. 84 and some odd number of miles to go before I fill up my tank with gas. That just doesn't make sense. But because the person didn't make an estimate, they're probably not going to catch their error. So that's where you come in. Your job is to look at this work and figure out what the mistake was. So now looking at this second part of the assignment where we're going to identify and explain the error, we need to write a sentence about what the student did wrong. So you're going to say what the student forgot to do, and then tell us how she can fix it. Okay? And that's it. That's error analysis. So you guys do this on your Google Slides, and we'll try another one of these in the next few days.